everyone.
What's up guys, Unofficial MCU here, hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are going to be discussing a brand new tease for Nick Fury going forward in the rest of the MCU, especially with the Captain Marvel 2 sequel titled The Marvels. We're going to go ahead, we're going to hop right on into it. In this video we are going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As a read, director Ali Salim believes that Secret Invasion has changed Nick Fury for the better ahead of the Marvels release. And while the latest Disney Plus series featured an ensemble of MCU characters, both old and new, Nick Fury was its leading hero, and one whose personal life was tied to the Skrull invasion. But in addition to that, and to showing how past MCU events have affected the former S.H.I.E.L.D. director, the events of Secret Invasion have supposedly built a better Fury ahead of Captain Marvel 2. In recently talking with Marvel, director Ali Salim explained how Secret Invasion has shaped this new Nick Fury ahead of its big screen return in the Marvels. Director Salim began by describing the series as a big love story, not only in terms of Fury's relationship with his Skrull wife, Priscilla, but also in him exploring his love for a lot of people. As he says that in full quote, "I don't think it's a little bit of a love story. I think it's a big love story, and I think it's Nick exploring his love for a lot of people. The most challenging one is in the fact of that he fell in love and married a Skrull, and battling his sense of other, living as a black man in America and living as an aging man in a more fit world. I think he's constantly exploring that sense of other and dealing with this love story that he's never quite reconciled." Ending that quote right there. I really believe that quote to be really quite perfectly fitting for how we saw Nick Fury in Secret Invasion, as not just a black man in America and living those like everyday politics, but also in the same fact of an aging man that's in a more fit world, in ever for kind of growing and moving forward type of world, especially with what we've seen in the recent of the MCU after the events of Avengers Endgame. Is a lot of things have changed and a lot of things are moving forward, and he may not necessarily be completely there with it. So I definitely think that Secret Invasion as an overall show serves that purpose of showing us that struggle and fixing that struggle so we can see a new profound Nick Fury, a stronger Nick Fury as described going forward in the rest of the MCU. And I also absolutely love that whole idea of a love story, not just on a personal level of that, oh look, he married a Skrull, but also in the personal, more larger scale of things, essentially, of that he didn't really have a care for the world anymore. He didn't want to have an ensemble of heroes anymore to help protect the world, not wanting to necessarily put that shield of armor around the world anymore, having lost hope on that and feeling bitter and maybe selfish even towards the rest of the world, as into the fact of, hey, that's not my responsibility anymore, somebody else will figure it out. And I think that goes both ways of that, yeah, maybe at the end of the day someone else will figure it out, but not as good as Nick Fury can. The director Ali Salim continues by also revealing that Nick Fury's marriage was to him the story, as he says that in quote, "That to me was the story. He had to reconcile that love story, either by leaving her as he almost does in episode 6 when he picks up the broken vase, or reuniting with her, confronting it all and kissing the Skrull, not the woman or that human." Ending that quote right there. And my thoughts and opinions, I feel like that part of the love story was a little bitter and even felt repetitive to a point. Of course, you can check out my review videos here on the channel about Secret Invasion, get my full kind of thoughts on that and everything, but some time has passed. I will say that looking back on it, I felt like that was something right to do, but at the same time it felt a little more drawn out to a point, and it just kind of felt like it was shoved in there and didn't really necessarily fit the story all that much. Maybe they could have poked at it once or twice and then picked it up later in the down a future project. But I disagree also with Ali Salim at the same time, as he says that like he felt like that was necessarily, that was kind of the story, and to me I don't really feel like that was part of the story all that much. It felt like something more onto the side and didn't really feel all that relevant entirely. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I think that for that to be a part of the story, for like, oh look, Nick Fury has married the Skrull and their relationship may be in shambles type of scenario, that's something that should have been expanded on a little bit more if you wanted to kind of label it as the story. The director also shared how this series of events results in a more quote-unquote newer Nick Fury who can do stronger and greater things, as he says that in quote, "I thought that was very important for him to come to that point where he understands where he is in the world now and what he needs to be to continue to be the new Nick Fury, and to send him off a little sense of, I've reconciled that now I can do stronger and greater things." Ending that quote right there. Comparably to like in just a normal everyday type of scenario of like the whole deal with the Skrulls and that being a problem for Nick Fury is something that he kept putting off for years and years years and years, to the point of where it's gotten to like 2 decades. And so when comparing that maybe into a real world scenario, it's just like putting off the dishes pretty much. You just don't want to do it. But after you do it, you feel more better, I guess. You feel more energetic. You feel like you can go do more stuff. I feel like maybe that's just me, but that's kind of how I compare it to. And I'm very excited to see a more profound, a stronger, and a greater Nick Fury that's able to go off and do stronger and greater things. A reassembling of the Avengers for sure is something that we're seeing a build-up of, rather than when we originally saw that in the 2008 Iron Man movie and in the 2012 Avengers movie. That's something that just kind of like happened in the span of the movie. I feel like that they're doing a lot more with this new build-up of reassembling the Avengers and building a new team up with all of them. So of course the next big thing, and possibly the stronger and greater thing, is Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels, where Nick Fury won't only be reuniting with Carol Danvers, but also establishing ties with Monica Rambeau and Ms. Marvel's Kamala Khan. Apart from Spider-Man Far From Home's post-credit scene, The Marvels marks Samuel L. Jackson's first live-action return to an MCU movie since Avengers Endgame. Into the regards of Samuel L. Jackson, director Ali Salem opened about his discussions with the actor about a post-snap Nick Fury, saying that Sam and I talked a lot about aging and living through the blip, saying that, in full quote, Sam and I talked a lot about aging and worrying about what you're losing, your step, or being told, and he has many points to this show that he's losing his step, living through the blip, which in many ways has and was very much like the pandemic for a lot of us, comparing that to the real world, where we just disappeared and came back different and disorientated in a way. We had a lot of conversations about Sam's life, how he felt as an aging man and as a man who grew up in the very violent times that he grew up in, and how that informed Nick Fury. Ending that quote right there, that's very powerful to say, I think, for one thing, when you're comparing it to the real world, and something I very much do agree with, of kind of in the way of the real world of how the pandemic kind of works for us. It felt like one day I was just doing online school and all of a sudden I'm graduated. I think people see it all the time and feel that all the time. So to see that translated into the MCU and kind of described a little bit of what they might have been going for is something that for sure I definitely agree with, and they could and should expand more on with that. The actor and the director also discussed just what Fury's story is exactly, and if it's about getting his mojo back or finding his new strength. It's a bit of both of that, but he says that in quote, and is it a story about getting his mojo back, or is it a story about finding purpose at this point in his life and finding his new strength at this point in his life? I think it's a little bit of both. I think that quote right there, I kind of predicted it right there. I definitely think it's a little bit of both of that, getting that mojo back and finding a new kind of direct of where you're going. And I think that's a little bit more of a tease of like where they are going, of having Nick Fury reassemble a new team of Avengers. According to the director, he believes those conversations helped Sam L. Jackson through the process. As he says that, in quote, Sam and I had good conversations about having lived through all of that stuff. I think in many ways that helped Sam through this process. Ending that quote right there. So all this being said here, did Secret Invasion actually change Nick Fury at the end of the day? And I think it did. While Secret Invasion may have served as a personal reset for Nick Fury, the importance of that arc in the Marvels remains to be seen, and how that's going to be translated over, I think, would really be the deal breaker. First of all, unless the November film features Priscilla or revisits the key events from the series, will audiences who skipped Secret Invasion even know Nick Fury lost his way or was even married at that, or anything that went on or had been revealed in Secret Invasion? At the end of the day, the Secret Invasion carry over to the future, in the future MCU projects here with movies and shows. Yes, Disney Plus viewers may realize he's back and ready for a stronger and greater things. However, for general audiences who only watch Marvel movies and don't really care about the shows all that much, Fury's back in space and right where they left him in Far From Home. I think they'll also be able to give us a little bit of a recap of things that went on with Secret Invasion and tie it back and forth. This possibility was somewhat alluded to in a prior interview with Ali Salem, where he explained communicating with the Marvels team and about how Fury's setup was simply, where do you need him? You need him here by the end of the film or the series? Great, and then we write that into it. If this question of where do you need him is simply based off of like physical location and not about where the character is at that point, it's possible that his Secret Invasion growth won't be even referenced, I feel like, and that could be a problem going forward. But at the same time, I don't really feel like that Marvel Marvel has ever let us down with that. However, the same can't be said for Tania Paris's Monica Rambeau and Iman Vellani's Miss Marvel, as Captain Marvel 2 will have reference to their Disney Plus origin stories, as the two are relative MCU newcomers and two of the film's three leads. For now, the question of whether the Marvels presents a stronger Nick Fury and one who noticeably differs from his pre-Endgame self remains to be seen, but for the sake of a quote-unquote stronger MCU, hopefully the Captain Marvel sequel will pay homage to all of its contributing Disney Plus narratives, because it does have a lot to work with WandaVision and Monica Rambeau set up, and also for the Miss Marvel show. I'm certain that hopefully they will include things for Nick Fury and Secret Invasion. With this here all being said, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you guys want to see with Nick Fury in the future of the MCU going forward, and what did you guys think about Secret Invasion? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, guys. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been an official MCU. Have a great one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.